Okay, I'm going to take you through some of the reports that you can have or that come standard in QuickBooks. Okay, so up here under reports, we can go into our reports center and run through the reports, but I'm one of those old fashions in QuickBooks, so I go for my drop-down menu here. So I'm just going to take you through some of these reports and we'll take a look at them, okay? So first things first, you have your profit and loss standard and your balance sheet standard. These two reports, as a business owner, you should be looking at frequently, all the time, making sure that everything looks okay. What I do when I do reviews of people's files, I come into and run the profit and loss standard report, and then I'll run it. I'll click Y to go to the beginning of the year and total by month. Okay, and then I'll scoot that over there so I can see most of the information on one screen, and I'll just go through and look at big variances. Okay, so everything looks pretty standard here. Now here, materials income, notice how there's a big, 6,000, 12,000, 13, big drop down to 4, big jump up 26. So I would probably then take a look at, zoom in on, take a look at the detail here, see what happened. Oh, we had a pretty big invoice at the end of October. All right, so that makes sense. Why that went up. I might ask the owner at that point, hey, why is there so much variance in materials income? And they might say to me, for example, oh, well, we, bill out for a project in August, and we had a whole bunch of projects in July and August, so we billed out for them early and we didn't bill out for them in September, whatever the reasoning is. But I at least ask for an explanation there so that I can understand what the ups and downs of the business are. Okay, so then scrolling down, notice how it has here construction other, income other, dash other. What that means is that you have some transactions that are hitting construction income, the header account. So you want to actually make sure and go in there and double click on this. Okay, so you have in and out on 2 invoices. And you want to see, so the deposit is what's hitting it. So you actually want to go in at that point to the items list, look for deposit, edit it. You don't want it to go to construction income. You want it to go to one of the discount or the sub items here. Okay, it's going to update existing transactions. Now when I go back to my P&L here and refresh it, that other goes away. Okay, so you don't want to see any others or miscellaneouses on your profit and loss. Okay, going down again, looking at the cost of goods sold, same thing. I want to look for where there's big variances. Why some months, here we spent 9,000, here we spent 24. So I'm looking for big variances there. I'm also looking for big variances in the gross profit or income here. I want to see big variances there. I go down to the bottom down here. I look at my profit and loss again. I'm looking for variances across the board. Everything looks pretty standard. All right, so if there was a big spike, let's pretend there's a big spike in disability insurance here. So one of the months had $7,000. I would want to take a look at that and see, is that something I need to set up as a prepaid so that I can expense it across the year? Is that even going to the right account? So the best way to judge the answers to those questions is to look for variances month over month. Okay, now of course this is not a full audit of the file, but it's just a quick way to look through and understand your client's business, okay, or your business. All right, so back into my company and financial reports. So we have the profit and loss standard, same thing, balance sheet standard. I'm going to look it up for this year and total by month. Same thing I did on the profit and loss. I'm going to look at variances, any big variances that I see. Cash looks like it's pretty steady. Okay, keep going. Accounts receivable looks like it's pretty steady. All right, so I'd be looking across the board at all these different things to make sure that there aren't any huge variances along the way. Okay, of course you do have your detail of both of those reports. All right. You can have your profit and loss. You can, when you run the standard, you can build these other things, year-to-date comparison, things like that, but they also have them pre-filled in for you here. So if I run the year-to-date, it's going to give me this month to date, and then this year-to-date, so I can see, okay, 3,000, total 36. Now, obviously, I can modify this and say percentage of year-to-date, So that means that I've got 12 months out of the year, $3,000 in design income is 8% of the total year. It looks okay. I mean, subcontracted labor is 21%, happened in December for a construction company. That looks a little bit funny, so I might want to take a closer look at that because, usually summer months are a little bit more busy for them. All right, keep going here. So we do have previous year comparison, profit and loss by job. Okay, so customer/job, you're going to see that here. So it'll show you all the jobs across the board there. Okay, and all that did was it totaled, instead of totaling by month, which I did before, it totaled by customer job. You have the profit and loss by class, so it'll show you all the classes across the board. And then you also have your unclassified. If you run a profit and loss by class, it'll give you your unclassified column anyway. So what I do is I come in here, I scroll down to the bottom of the unclassified column, all the way down there, and I go to the total and I double click on it, and it's going to show me every transaction that doesn't have a class on it. So that allows me to go in and put the class on. Notice here, hey, wait, there's a class. It's because it's on the expenses tab that we don't have a class. Okay, it's going to update that. Let's look at the job materials here. No classes entered. All right, on this one though, I can put in a class up here, but that's not going to affect the line item. So I actually have to customize this form. Go in and add the class screen to my columns that are shown, oops, not printed, that are shown on my screen. Now it's there. Make sure that the remodel's there, save and close. Okay, so I'd go through and fix all these, but as I showed you there, you can also just straight run the unclassified report. You have income by customer summary and detail, expenses by vendor detail, and then we have an income and expense graph, which is kind of neat to look at, and all of these you can drill down onto. So it kind of breaks out for you, what are your incomes, what percentage, what are your expenses, what's the percentage breakout. Okay. Going down, same thing, balance sheet. We have balance sheet standard, summary, previous year comparison, balance sheet by class, which is pretty accurate. There are a couple things that are messed up on it, so be sure and read the examples there, what kind of can get separated out funny, which is like the equity can get separated out kind of funny. And you might not be able to get everything out of unclassified, but you can adjust it at that point. Okay, and you have your net worth graph, which is kind of a neat graph too. So it shows you what your net worth is as of a certain point, your assets, your liabilities, and what your net worth is. Then we have our statement of cash flows and our cash flow forecast. Of course, these are things that you have to set up separately. If you go up to preferences and to reports, we have here our statement of cash flows, so you can go in and classify it. QuickBooks sets it up what it expects, everything where it expects it to fall as far as the statement of cash flows, but you might have to go in and make sure that it's falling into the right categories. Okay, make sure and review that first. And then same with cash flow forecast, you need to make sure and go in and set up your forecast before you can run that report. Okay, so those are just some standard reports, company and financial reports.